Okay, Aryan Chad here decided to re-record this one because I wanted to put it to some Touhou footage. This is EUSD on hard, and as well, I wanted to go a bit more in depth to some things I immediately dismiss, even though this individual who I debunked was totally deranged and doesn't really care about Touhou. I should still give them a better nod towards their arguments. Preface, Pooptis hashtag BLM, PBLM, you might know him as, sent me this video called Why Touhou is Loved by Trans Gamers. And indeed, he is transphobic despite LARPing as a leftist to trigger people. And he uses this video to humiliate the otaku culture and fandom. So I had to respond, had to debunk. Wasn't hard because Digibro is deranged and he's stupid, he doesn't care about Touhou. He just made the video for views and because Touhou is relevant. So the first thing to say, I dismissed this one immediately last time, but Digibro says that trans gamers love Touhou because Touhou allows trans gamers to get into a trance-like meditative state. Now, I dismissed that as buzzwords, but I understand what he means. What he's saying is that when a trans gamer gets into the zone while playing an STG, it allows them to forget that they are, as they claim, a chick stuck inside of the body of a dude, as they claim. So the idea is they just get so into it that they forget everything, and that's entirely subjective. He's just talking about how an STG makes them feel. So I can't dismiss that one because it's an opinion, but in my opinion, if you want to get an out-of-the-body experience, take mushrooms or something, or smoke weed. He's extrapolating it onto an STG, and I consider it a weak point and not really relevant, because he himself does not play these games. He just needed to make a video because Touhou is relevant. Now the second thing he says is that in Gensokyo... Oh, by the way, I'm not too transphobic. I think that they're just like fetishists. So when I say he, it's because they don't look like a chick. So subconsciously, I don't want to say she. So I'm not doing that to be like a chud who goes smug chud face and says he. It's just, they don't pass. So anyways, he says that because everyone in Gensokyo is a chick, the franchise has very little to do with gender roles. Things are more homogenized and simple, and this helps trans gamers self-insert with the setting. What I have to say to that is, no, that's not true. So maybe his art style depicts them with flat chests, but just a very wholesome art style. The characters are very effeminate, bro. For example, Kokasa, they're a babysitter in the human village. It's very effeminate. Or Sakuya, they're a maid. That's extremely effeminate. That's like being a mom, but you are paid and you don't have children. So this franchise has no deep commentary on gender roles. As I said last time, he's extrapolating a random can of worms onto something completely unrelated. So the third thing he says is that because Touhou has lots of yuri porn and characters with small titties, it helps trans gamers self-insert porn. Well, what I have to say to that is, like I said before, this is a very wholesome franchise. Zun draws them with small titties, but I think that's just because, I don't know, it's like in Japan, children love Touhou. So it's not that children love Touhou, and that's why he draws them with small titties, but it's a wholesome franchise. It's very beautiful and pure. So, yeah, so that's that point. And then he says, trans gamers love Touhou because it has Wriggled Nightbug, and she is androgynous, and that helps trans gamers insert. So, like what I said before, in like an epic genius level debunk, so if you look at Friedrich Nietzsche, he talked all about how everyone should be strong and how to be a giga-chat. But he himself was something of an incel. He actually got syphilis from having sex with a hooker because he couldn't get pussy, so he had to go to a brothel. So there's this part of human nature, which is that when something is out of reach and unattainable to you, you worship and adore that thing even more because you can't have it. So in the same way, trans gamers, they like extreme femininity. So if you've been around trans folks, a lot of them call themselves Alice. That's not related to Touhou in specific, but that's like an extremely feminine name, right? So they don't go for the androgynous girl to self-insert on. They would go for something hyper-effeminate, like maybe Sakuya. So that's that point debunked. And now, for the last part, he says, Toyo Satomimi no Miko is a transgender Touhou character. Well, this only goes to show how little this person, Digibro, goes to care about Touhou. He's just making this video because it's relevant and asked for, and he has a Patreon. So Miko, they merely went down in history as a dude, Prince Shakuto, because history is a superfluous thing. So you could take this as a win for feminism, because this could be Touhou showing how women are oppressed, or it could show, like, I don't know, how society historically oppressed women. But Digibro, because he doesn't care about Touhou, because he just needs to shit out a video for his Patreon, he just called them trans. So, this is why in the feminist community there's now a lot of people called TERFs, trans exclusionary radical feminists, pretty much because transgenders have been allowed to walk all over feminism and get free clout from feminism because they're quote-unquote women. Actual women are kind of out of the spotlight, and they feel these people are essentially forced to be like, it looks like Chud Wojak had something of a point. Because these feminists are upset about this, they're kind of ostracized from, the other LGBT rights movement folks. So, pretty much, this is an example of how transgenders try to get clout from the feminist movement, and that's why a lot of feminists hate the transgenders. I've just debunked this Digibro video a whole lot better and more faithfully. At the moment in this replay, I'm only at about patchouli, so I'm gonna play this audio file of Pooptis giving commentary on Bant TF2.
I love Bant TF2. I love Bad Hombre and how much he talks about being a rich Aryan Chad. I love Pank talking about Reddit memes and Popfred talking about Yonkers for the 87th time. Oh, and get this. There's this guy named Pooptis who pretends to be a leftist to LMAO, and get this, he sings about poop. Ha, poopy funny. And that's not even the best part. These guys make jokes about, wait for it, pedophilia. They pretend to be pedophiles when even though they aren't. Comedy genius. Way to filter out the normies, guys. Speaking of normies, Hombre has a no normie policy. So if you say something that he deems normie shit, you get muted. Beast! Another thing that they do is spray Touhou porn everywhere. These guys just couldn't get any more ridiculous. I hope you like Touhou, because that's all we talk about. That's all we talk about and listen to. Nothing but game OSTs and Touhou music. And if you mute the mic spam, we'll berate you for it because it gives the server soul. This is an otaku gaming community. These guys are seriously the shit. They're geniuses. The way they talk, they make it seem like the smart people in the world, and everyone else is a retard who can't think for themselves. They're constantly talking about normies, poltards, redditors, and trannies, too. Clearly these 19-year-old quote-unquote pedophiles have a right to constantly look down on everyone because they're philosophers. Oh yeah, there's tons of intellectual discussion going on in this server. They have philosophical discussions about chuds and tuxedo pepes. Whoa, so deep. They also have filters, too. If you type training in the chat, it will say, I have no friends. Don't worry, these guys are just as transphobic as the rest of this website, but they pretend to be pro-trans to piss off like Paltard, epic trolling. Oh, and the Eurocacks are constantly trying to circle jerk instead of playing the game. Good thing Bad Hombre censors the chat and makes it say I am trans. Haha, training funny. Haha, poopy funny. Haha, pedo funny. Haha, horny funny.
I can't tell if ironic.
Okay, we're back. We're fighting Patchy. Like me and Pooptis, Patchy is an Anglo-Saxon. And I wanted to say, I consider Pooptis a genius as well. But he's only like an 8 out of 10 in terms of cognition. I think he's just too hedonistic. Or me, I'm like a 9.9. It's like an asymptote where you can only approach being a true genius, not get there. So I don't really know what to add at this point. I guess one thing I wanted to say, I was kind of blog posting about it earlier, but in my travels I've met literally an inexhaustible amount of people. They're secondaries, and they hate EOSD because, well, the reason why they hate EOSD is because they're attached to, like, I don't know, 10 Desires or SA, and they wish that their game were more popular than EOSD so they'd get more drives. But these people, they tell me, even though they're secondaries, that they hate EOSD because the gameplay is outdated, but they also say that they don't play the games. So yeah, they're that stupid. So that made me bitter of SA for a while, because there's a literal inexhaustible amount of these people. Because I'm Aryan, my soul helped me overcome my hatred, I don't care anymore. So yeah. Emerald Megalith. I made a Wojak meme about this one. To continue, I was gonna watch PBLM's new video. Let's see what it was called here. Touhou, Transgenderism, and Otaku Culture. A comment. And the first 30 seconds are Kino, but I gotta say, even at 2x speed, this video was so boring that I had to click away. So I'm not gonna debunk this one, and like I said in my vocal group earlier this morning, this guy, they just want to defend their trump card that lets them humiliate otaku culture. They're just defending it. They're transphobic like the rest of 4chan in reality. So what I'm going to debunk instead is Uncle Dane. He made this 14-minute video as well. In fact, it's only 4 seconds longer than PBLM's video. So he made this video called The Panic Attack is Good, actually. And to debunk that one, it's like Occam's razor, where the panic attack sucks because the bullet spread, even though it's fixed, it's so wide that it hits like a wet fart. You can only really, I don't know, get chip damage on people unless you're standing next to them. Maybe it's good in NG because the maps like Harvest, you know, like the nests are really tight-knit. Or maybe it can be good on Pyro because he gets really close to people as well. But I gotta say, this weapon, it sucks. And Uncle Dane, he's like Tyler McVicker, but because he didn't go insane and essentially become a joke, he's less Kino. So not only have I debunked him and proven that the stock shotgun is much better, he is a joke, and I am banned from his server. I wasn't even transphobic. I guess from here on in, I can give commentary on the gameplay. So even though the boss is so easy, I don't like the stage. It's a cool stage, and I like the song. But like this part here, you'll see why. Like, now, the pattern, I had to bomb here, but if you've played the game, you know that pattern repeats, and it's incredibly difficult. And it's, I don't know, I'm much better now. It's been a year since I recorded this, but I still hate that one. And this replay was called Anarchy, which is ironic because the International Wrestling Festival video just released a few days ago. So Sakuya, they're very easy. So there's this term that STG fans will probably know, micro and macro. So micro means your sheer dodging skills, while macro means understanding how the spell card works. And I actually consider EOSD to be one of the most fun games because it's got like the perfect balance of micro and macro. if you look at Imperishable Night, it's just like extremely micro, which is boring, except for the extra stage, and I consider the extra stage on Imperishable Night to be incredible. People say Moko is easy, but I had a lot of trouble with her. So here, with Sakuya, it's just a whole lot of macro. So they're actually a very easy boss, even on this difficulty, hard, and I'd even call them easier than Patchouli. And I don't know, I guess that's another thing that makes EUSD pretty Kino, which is Patchouli, they stick out. It's very fun to fight them. It's just an incredible boss fight. And their theme, apparently their theme was actually, I don't know, made for the MIDI sound front and only ported to whatever, the standard is now later. But I still consider the theme incredible. It's like literally a Kino. Okay, so we're about done here. So I wanted to say as well, so everyone, it's pretty much like how on image boards and poll, everyone shits on Anglos. When you take a step back, Anglos, they conquered the planet, we speak English. In the same way, everyone attacks EUSD, but my love for the game is very true. Now, in some ways, I'm critical of the game, like Sakuya's theme. We just finished fighting Sakuya, but I consider Sakuya's theme, Lunar Clock, Luna Dial, to be like one of the worst songs Zun has made that I know of. But in 7.5, that's Immaterial Missing Power, there's a remix of it that's literally Kino. And Zun, he likes guitars because he is very Aryan, like me. I also like guitars. So we're on, I don't like this part, but there was a point where I could actually get through this. Yeah, as you can see there, I fucked up. It's kind of like luck to me. But we're now on Eternal Meek. This is a famous one, it's pretty cool. Actually, it's we gotta do a non-spell first, but I don't know, each EOSD character just have so much substance. Like, of course, Mei Ling, they were kind of forgotten. Rumia doesn't have much substance. But compare Rumia to Letty, and then just compare, in general, Rumia to the Stage 1 bosses as time went on. Of course, I like Wriggle more than Rumia, but in general, EOSD just has so much soul, it has so much substance. It's like, let's say you fapped 5 times in one day. Naturally, the first time you fap, it's going to be like, I don't know, a big load, or like a gallon. Speaking of which, last time I fapped, I actually fapped Remilia and Flandre. It was yesterday. So the first time you fap, it's going to be like a big load, but consecutively it gets more boring. So I guess there was like an uptick in Touhou's quality with LOL K, and I liked 17 and 18. 17 was actually pretty gemmy, but now we're on Remilia. So I actually wrote lyrics to this song in my head, but I don't really feel fit to sing it because my family, they're kind of around, and if they heard me singing the lyrics to the song that I made up, they'd want me institutionalized, like Akari. So, yeah, I'm actually going to turn it up on VLC because I love this song. I think that this is the best Touhou song. Like, of course, you would think I'm biased, but this must for sure be in the top 5. This is just an incredible Kino and a gem. Let's compare it to Satori's theme. So all of the Soy Boy secondaries, if you didn't know, there's this weird thing going on with Satori's theme, where there are many songs that are older than SA that precisely resemble the theme, but we don't really know yet what this is based off of. So there's a Star Fox unreleased song that sounds exactly like Satori's theme, and in some other games, there's something that follows that same musical structure, but people don't know where it's from. And that's as far as the Goose Chase goes with Satori's theme, while with this song, of course, it is pretty simply based off of a Beethoven song. A shout out to my German brothers, but I don't know, there's nothing wrong with it having a simple origin. And you can actually watch this video on YouTube, it's like 20 minutes long, of every rendition of this Beethoven song throughout history, with the most recent version being, of course, this game, but it, I don't know, I guess it goes from the 1600s onwards. It's really interesting. So the contrast is, the controversy behind Satori's theme is Soy Boys being, oh my god, the Nintendo song sounds like Satori's theme, what does this mean? While, this song, it's simply based off of a classical song, but it's still so Kino. It's one of the best things ever created. Now, it looks like I'm in a bind here, but, I'm actually fine. I pull it off. This is a pretty tricky spell card for me. I wish you could see how many times you'd captured a spell card like I added in 7. But it's time to wrap up. Real quick to show how I'm essentially an alpha male, not an NPC. When I was on vacation, I was canoeing with my Ramelia doll and my belongings. And because essentially my brother tricked me into flipping my canoe over and I fell into the lake. And because I'm Aryan and have a soul, I actually decided I would dive to get the Ramelia doll first. And I did. I got my phone later. My phone still worked. So it's like an Aryan otaku success story. See you guys.